gets here, we can
Okay.
at least do some items, the items for action and the minutes.
Yeah.
Ready?
You don't need to?
Ready?
Yes, I'll open the meeting. Good evening. Tonight is the 12th of July, 2021. It is now 6:06 p.m. and we are awaiting our chairman, but I will open the meeting as vice chair since we have a quorum. We have an agenda that includes an approval of minutes. We do have two appointments, one at 6:30 for an abatement issue and one at 6:45 for the harbor master discussing the reverse boiler area and the project plan there. We have some items for discussion from the water supervisor, updating its situations on tanks and wells, in particular forestry tanks, and there was also recent testing. We also have items for action, award of contract 2021-14 Marshfield Pump Station Flow Meter Project to D and C construction, and if I recall correctly, this is for the wastewater pump station.
Yes, correct.
As opposed to a water pump station.
Correct.
The next one is Amendment 1 to Contract 2020-17 for the professional services for the flow meter design at 3 pump stations with GHD Services. And then the revision to the Marshfield Code 285-19.1, it's the old bylaw 94. And this is a draft that has been cleaned up and ready for the board's approval and forwarding. We will have the superintendent's report consisting of an update on 965 Plain, update on Marshfield Hill sidewalk, discussion of warrant articles, resurfacing and reconstruction of Marion Street, and any other items that might have come to his attention in turn. And then we will be having an executive session to finalize the superintendent's contract, and then we will go into executive session for that, and we will return from executive session only for the purpose of adjournment. Do I have a
Second.
all in favor? Would you poll the board, please?
So you don't have.
Okay. That's right, we're lighting, okay. Aye also, so it passes 2 with one not present. Okay, draft minutes.
I did read them.
I had no issues with them either. I'll make a motion to approve the,
I just wanted to make one comment.
okay.
The indirect cost methodology, have we done anything?
I mean, we tasked, I think, Dan and,
We haven't done anything. I went on vacation and the plan was when I got back, Dan and I were gonna meet and then set up a meeting with the town administrator, the chairman of the board of selectmen.
Yeah, all right, okay.
that's all right.
So,
well, we just,
make a motion and,
well, before, now that Mr. Shaughnessy, the president, has joined us, I'll send the meeting to him.
Sorry, Mike.
Okay.
traffic.
I have read the agenda through, sir, and we've approved it 2-0.
All right, same on the same, why don't you continue?
Okay. So we've reviewed the minutes of June 7, 2021. Neither Mr. Cusick nor I have any comments on the minutes. He did have any questions regarding the item for staff. The staff has answered. Have you read the minutes, sir?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the draft minutes of June 7, 2021.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Anyway, did you print out, package for me?
Yes, it's right here.
That's what
No,
you
no,
just
this is
told
last week's.
me. Can I get one there?
Oh, those are,
I'm sorry, I had one.
oh, okay, so, yeah. Stole it.
No, it just gets slid over and dumped out.
Taking over. Don't even give me my package.
I'll give you a packet.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so we've just had 2 people say aye to the minutes.
Yeah, good.
Okay. I see the minutes, they're approved. Paul, you want to take over?
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Thank you very much for having me here tonight.
Before you talk,
this is
Yes.
your package.
yeah, okay, good. The reason why we asked you to come,
Mhm.
so then the public knows. Last week we had a discussion about the wells and tanks
Okay,
and the issue of PFAS that is statewide.
okay,
And that Rod was here, and he had talked about that we don't have a problem with PFAS in Marshfield, but there was one well that did come up with some hits. So we thought that it would be better to hear it from the water supervisor of what the status of the wells. This is what I'm looking for. I'll give you my 2 cents.
Okay.
Is that because, although it's been raining like crazy, but there was a drought warning early in the year. I was concerned about the level of the wells, probably they're up now, the tanks that we've been working on. Town meeting has given us a 5-year program to paint the tanks.
Yeah.
I want to know the status of that. And basically, what is the analytes that we do test for, and what is the frequency? I know that's all in the annual report that we submit out there, but basically focus more on PFAS related issues, because that's sort of the hot topic in the environmental field today.
Well, right now, we're in that infancy stage of what we're doing on testing. We've already done our first rounds. As for PFAS and the wells, 20 is the limit.
Right.
All right. We have a couple wells that are around 7 and 5 that are not even below the minimum limit of what the PFAS are. And if you were to look at the dispersion of the wells, what are non-detect and what are actually have PFAS in them, when it comes into blending into the system, those numbers are going to drop drastically.
One item I want to point out, when you mentioned the 20, that is 20 parts per trillion.
Per trillion, yes.
For people in the audience.
The issue of PFAS, as you said, was infancy, but the public health, state Mass DEP, EPA, and others are trying to formulate what's the strategy going forward. Dave has prepared something to go on town meeting to talk about PFAS.
Okay.
My concern is that we really need to get guidance from public health before we start asking the town to do something, to ban something, because it's a whole class of chemicals that are out there, and do we know which on the ones that, well, Furnace Brook number 4,
Yeah.
and Furnace Brook number 1, and Furnace Brook number 2, which is all in the same aquifer. Do we know what the hit is and what the defined chemical that we're looking at?
It would be in the report. You have 6 legacy PFAS that are on that list right now.
Okay, and then what would be the source of that? How do we-
Whatever's in the
how do we
aquifer
control
that we're pulling in.
Yeah.
You know, groundwater, you know, you really can't control what is coming into your wells in that situation.
I think, if I may just add quickly, is I don't think we're dealing with firefighting foam, so we can eliminate that. There's many other families that belong to this, and I don't know how many there are actually out there, but I mean, there's a number of insulation and laundry detergents and things like that. There's so many different parts to this equation that it's difficult to get our hands around and to understand it. And I'll let Paul finish.
Yeah.
I do have a webinar that's up next week. MMA's, Mass Municipal's putting it on.
Okay.
So it's something we might want to sign on. It's from it's the 21st from noon to 1 o'clock, and it's put on by MMA, and it's PFAS 101, treatment options, case studies, overview of Easton's contaminated response, and then closing remarks. So it might be something that
What's the time on that, Tom?
it's from 12 to 1.
Okay, so it doesn't interfere with our 11:30 meeting?
No, it would be after.
Okay. One point I want to make, just because of the statement you made, Our aim with my article to modify the current existing town code where we prohibit activities like treating with insecticide in Zone 1 poles is not to try and accomplish anything other than exclusion of material as we go forward. And that puts the onus on the people that are using the material. It does not need, in my book, in any way, shape, or form, somebody out there in regulation to say, okay, this amount, you can bring this PFAS in, you can't bring that one. I don't think we need to go there. Where I think we need to go is, you put the onus on the people that are coming in to do your work. And bottom line comes down that if they can't eliminate it, which may well be, maybe there is no alternative product for something they're using, so be it. You have to take steps that will exclude it from entering, whether it's an impervious surface laid down before you start spreading, you know, the cleaning agent or whatever else. That's the type of technique that we're looking at, is the exclusion. As you well know, from living through what went on, you know, with Avon, Anton's and some others, the bottom line comes down. Exclusion is the cheapest alternative we have.
I don't disagree with that. The issue is, that I was concerned at the last meeting, was how do we control it and how do you police it? Because the family of PFAS is this wide.
It's thousands.
And basically, you know, I was looking for guidance from public health to figure out how do we control it. I mean, I just read that, you know, the blue foam that you put on inside your house.
Rigid
that-
insulation.
Soft, rigid, that has PFAS in it. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, it's one of those stable chemicals that it's out in the environment. If it leaches in, it doesn't break down. It just passes through. I mean, the number of 20, there's a dispute between what is an eminent hazard and what level is that? Is that 12? Is that 17? Is that 20? I mean, that's public health is looking at your risk-based numbers out there. You know, if we blend it, which, you know, we do all the time, but we also treat it. And the reason why I spelled off the different wells is because we have treatment on those carbon filters. And PFAS can be pulled out somewhat with different type of resins and carbon. Maybe we have to, if it's not picking it up through going through the carbon, we maybe change the resin that we have in the tanks. So it's an overall strategy that we're looking at. But we don't have a problem like the towns that are around, like Westover, down the Cape, Firefighting Academy, to name a couple. We're lucky that we live in the community we have, and we have really good water. I just don't want to sound alarm if we don't have to. But I do appreciate Dave's concern is that of putting something in the code, putting the responsibility, not just on people, but any chemical within the Zone 1, Zone 2 that they're working on. Not just because there are other things that besides PFAS that are out there. A few years back, it was the fireworks over the fairgrounds. You know, anything that has to deal with, you know, contamination of our wells is important. I took a lot of heat for the fireworks issue because I was the water commissioner, and I would rather have clean drinking water the day after fireworks than dirty drinking water with fireworks in it for a while. So that's an important point, and I haven't changed at all about keeping Marshall water clean. You know, it's just clean water in the community is just as good as good schools and good police department. So,
I can beat that one.
all right. So continue on.
Okay. Oh, tanks. All right. Both tanks, Telegraph Hill is back online. Forest Street, we had an issue back the week before the 4th of July. Got permission to put the tank back online. We started filling, everything was fine. We have the tank full, ready to put it back online. We have a leaking gasket. Try to tighten up, mitigate the problem, stop the gasket from somewhat leaking. The determination was, with the impending heat wave coming through 4th of July weekend, we put the tank online, we were going to monitor the leak. After we got through the 4th, take it back offline. I also needed to have Forest Street online to fill up Telegraph Hill by zoning gates, because with Telegraph and Pudding Hill, that low zone pumps a third more than Hyzon. With that extra 2 million gallons of storage in place allowed me to use that water, stabilize the low zone pressure, fill that tank probably 2 days faster than what I needed to, then take Forest Street back offline. Got a call from a resident, thank you that we got it. The gasket had let go. That night we started running drainage pipes to dewater the tank. As of right now, new gasket was put in place. Got to go ahead to refill it again. Right now we're filling that. So hopefully by Thursday or Friday, we'll have that tank full, and by next week have it back online.
One thing, Paul, I think you mentioned, this was all done by the contractor.
Yes, no, we assisted him in whatever he needed, tools, what that, no. The contractor was the one that put new gaskets in and everything else.
Okay.
That's good.
See, you guys, any other questions about water?
None at this time. The issues we have before us are basically, I think pretty well defined and right now with both PFAS and, the ongoing analyticals that we do every year, that we put in the annual report, pretty well cover everything and let people know in Marshfield that, well, yes, PFAS is out there and just about every water system has it. Ours is low, and basically what you get from the system is essentially zero.
That should be it.
Any other wells that we have an issue with?
I have a comment.
No, not right now. No.
John has a comment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is, and it's also in
yeah. It's a combination of chemicals that has been used in every industry.
kind of stuck with it.
And if you were to see the procedure, what my operators have to go through to make sure that they don't get a false positive from PFAS. It's incredible, it really is, you know. And I commend them for it, being able to do it.
So it can't be contaminated, just on the test.
You can get a false positive, you can get a false positive because you have a trip blank that when you come into the facility, the first thing you have to do is pour that distilled water into a trip blank. If that chemical shows up in that trip blank, then, you know.
Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Good, thank you.
Any big developments around our wells that we have to be concerned about?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Very good. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to thank Paul for coming in. You usually don't come to the board meetings, but I thought it would be good to have you come and,
Don't
so that we
hesitate.
can put the face with the name.
All right. Don't hesitate to have me come here if you need me.
Thank you, Paul, that was great. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. So, next item is, items for action. Number 1, award contract number.
We do have
Okay.
leave that, leave that.
Okay, let's just run through these and we'll go to the security one. Award contract number 2021-14, Marshall Pump Station Flow Meter Project to TC Construction. Is this you, Paul?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Just a bit of background first. The money for this $100,000 was appropriated at annual town meeting April 2018. The best available information we had at the time, so more than 3 years have gone by. The pandemic, of course, came in. There's been inflation in certain aspects of construction coming out of the pandemic. After a number of discussions with our engineer, with the chief operator, Clint Stetson, we determined that it probably was best to carve out Macro Terrace as an alternate one because it's the smallest of the 3 pumping stations. It's only got about 17 or 18 houses connected to it. But it's also, so it's sort of the least critical in terms of the whole flow picture to the wastewater plant, but it's the deepest. It involves over at least 150 feet of road disturbance compared to the other stations, which don't involve any of that. So that's one reason why the price is so high relative to the other stations. So the base bid consists of adding, constructing vaults and adding flow meters and associated work at Homestead Avenue and Anderson Drive. Alternate 2 was set up to have 3 valves at each of the 3 stations, but these things alternates would have to be added in order, or water in order, I guess I should say, even though there's only one bid. But in any event, what this reduces to is with the $100,000 that we have, the recommendation, because all we can really do is award the base bid, and then, so that's what we're requesting, and then we would begin, or have our engineer begin a negotiation with the DNC to install the valves at the two stations that we can do as the base bid, which would be, again, Homestead Avenue and Anderson Drive. It's just the way the money is. This is what we can do. The base bid. Regarding DNC, we're fortunate. We wish we had more bids, but you know they've done the UV and clarifier upgrade for us, and before that they did the Avon Street and Central Street upgrades. You know they've got good people, and they've worked with us before, and the folks at the plant really have a good comfort level with them. So you know we're fortunate that they submitted the bids, and our engineer advised that the price, you know, feels the prices are fair based on recent bids that they've gone through.
I got a question on Magna Terrace.
Yep.
What is it time critical to get done sooner than later? Do we need to wait to town meeting, is it an emergency?
There's no emergency here, and the kind of plan going forward, I didn't want to bear too much paper, would be to ask for an appropriation at special town meeting to cover Magna Terrace and maybe any other work here that we can't quite squeeze in.
That's not an emergency,
No, it's not an emergency.
so it doesn't fall within the emergency definition that we could use the emergency money. Okay, we want to make sure that we just ask the question. Having said that, we'll make the motion to award contract number 2021-14, Marshall Pump Station Flow Meter Project. Base bid to DNC Construction and to authorize the chairman or designated member to execute the contract documents when they are prepared. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I got 6:28. Let's do our first appointment. Our first appointment is relating to an abatement that was approved by the board, and it's come back with a explanation. So if the person is here, and Dan, you want to help out on this, Ms. Regan?
Yes.
Just come up, have a seat.
I feel like it's such a minute.
Thank you for coming in the middle of the summer.
Well,
So we have gave you an abatement,
which I appreciated very much.
and what you're saying is that there was an overlap
Right.
in between.
Well, what happened was I got my bill in September 24th of 2020. And that's for the first half of 2020. So when I got my second bill this spring, I had that leak that continued during the first billing, but it went into the second billing. So now I got, the first bill was almost $3,000, the second one is $1,600. So I just wanted to know, because it was the same leak, but two different bills. And that's why I'm asking for some possible help on that second bill. I took care of the leak. It was that leak in the toilet. I don't know if you remember, it was...
I have a toilet leaks all the time.
No, but this was inside the tank.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear it.
The clapper was leaking.
Yet, I never heard it.
You wouldn't, no.
I didn't hear it. So I had my son-in-law fix it immediately. I had him come down and check the house. I'm wondering what the heck with. So, I mean, I was just wondering why,
So when did you actually fix it?
as soon as I found out, like the end of September.
September?
Yeah, as soon as I got that bill, I called the water department, I went through the channels of filing an abatement with DPW, I fixed it immediately.
So basically, you fixed it in September,
Correct.
but the bill.
But see the bill, right, see the bill,
Bill went from
August and September.
August
To September.
to September. So
Yeah.
you're asking for us to extend the abatement that we gave you for the 2 additional months in the first part of the second billing.
Yes, if you could do anything with that.
Dan, I'm going to ask you, what does that entail?
So normally, we don't give an abatement for a leaky faucet or a leaky toilet. I thought it was pretty generous of you.
And it was.
So, yeah.
It was.
And at that time, her usage was at 152,000 gallons, so that was substantial. And if you repaired that leak, your last usage was again at 91,000. The 5 prior to the big reading
Yeah.
was 20,000, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 15,000. So it would seem like you still have a leak somewhere in your house. You must have a leak, or your toilet's
Even
still-
now?
Yes, so your last reading was 91,000. That's still a lot of water for a single person in the house.
And when was that reading?
That was in January 20th, 2021.
But wouldn't that be inclusive of
No.
those 2 months?
No, that would be a separate reading. So the previous reading was in July, and that was
Yeah.
152,000 gallons.
So then
And then if you had it repaired in September,
which I did, well, as
it
soon
may have
as I.
reduced some of your water usage, so it went from 152 if you repaired in September.
Yeah.
Then in the January read, it was 91,000. So again, there's
It's
probably
still-
a leak somewhere in your house, or something's going on. Because these are all actual reads too, these aren't estimated reads.
So does she have a copy of what she's looking at? Take a look at this.
Just- So her bill would have the usage on, it has the last
Yeah,
three
yeah,
readings.
I do, I
Do
do.
you have this?
Yeah, I
Because your normal is 15, 15, 12, 10, 20, right? We gave you a abatement because you had 152. Your current bill is 91. So it still means that something's leaking.
Okay. All right, I just was thinking that
I feel your pain.
between, pardon?
I feel your pain. Because you're moving 4 times more water than you should be.
I mean, it's almost like $5,000, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Do you have a basement?
Pardon?
Do you have a basement?
Yes,
Can you see the water meter? Yeah.
in the basement?
Yeah, just, yeah.
Yeah, I
The
could
base of the
probably,
meter has a small arrow on
okay,
it, just it's very small, but you can see it. You know, at 7 o'clock at night, or 6 or whatever, if you're there by yourself,
yeah,
just go and look and see if it's moving. If it's moving, then you have a leak somewhere.
oh, okay,
Just look at this little,
Do you have outside irrigation?
no,
but I don't
I
know.
can't imagine where the leak would be, I just,
Well, because
Is it a
Because
slab?
you're fixing it, you're gonna be back again. You know, it's like-
yeah, oh, yeah,
Oh, it's a basement, right?
yeah, in the basement.
Look at the little arrow.
Yeah. If the meter's moving, then you have a leak somewhere in the house.
Just look at this tiny arrow.
The basic trick, the best basic trick is to, I have one quick question though. Do you have forced hot water heat?
Yes,
Do you
no,
have a tank?
forced hot air,
Forced hot air, so, okay, so you have a separate water heater for your house?
yes, yes,
Electric or gas? right?
yeah, yes, gas,
Because if it was forced hot water heat, you might have an internal leak with the tank was coiled. And then, that ends up,
Yeah.
it's hard to detect.
I can't imagine what it could be then.
Sometimes it's just vapor, so.
How many bathrooms do you have?
1.5,
So you have 2 toilets,
yes,
2 water.
the-
So put some dye in the.
Yeah.
It's out.
yeah, I did that.
Did it show up in the bill?
The meters.
The other item with keying off of what John mentioned about trying to read the meter would be to pick a point in, the day, shut everything off that you can physically shut off. Make
Yeah.
sure you're not running the washing machine or anything else.
Right,
And then look to see what you have if you move it, if any.
Yeah, this is tiny arrow, and if it moves, use some water.
There's something, but what if everything in the house is shut off and it's moving, what then could it be?
Did you have a leak someplace?
There's a leak
In
somewhere
your toilet
after
tank
you
or somewhere else where you can't
After
shut
my
the
meter,
water off?
going out to the street,
No,
going
coming
out,
into the house.
running into
If
them.
the meter's spinning, that
Yes.
means the water's passing through the meter.
And it's in your house.
So it's in the house, the leak. If the leak was outside the house, your meter wouldn't be spinning.
Right. And
Okay.
you wouldn't be getting billed for it.
Right.
Right, right.
You'd have a big puddle in your front yard.
Okay, well, I will check that out. I guess, though, the second thing is, I really wish that they would have flagged me or put a note in the door or something, because not everyone is aware, like myself, that there's a leak. And I just wish that they read the meter, but by the time they read the meter and I get the bill, there's this lapse of
Right, we
time.
read twice a year.
Right,
And that, so you're only getting your bill every 6 months, so the
Right.
amount of water you lose in that 6-month period with a leak could be substantial.
right,
You know, so by doing what this gentleman has said about
Right.
checking it to see if it's spinning, like this dye package you
Yeah.
can put in your toilets, and if that glue is gone the next morning, then your toilet's leaking still.
okay,
So there's a couple of things that you can do to
Yeah,
check
yeah.
within the house.
yeah.
But I mean, even a dripping faucet,
Yeah.
a little drip in a faucet will, over time, will create,
And we do send out high usage letters, but you're right, we send them out late, because we don't know, the billing people, we don't know about it
Yeah.
until we run the bill, and then we go through the whole commitment for all the houses in that precinct, and we will identify a house like yours and send out a letter, but at that point, it's a
Yeah,
little
right,
too late.
But I mean, by the time they read it and then you receive that bill, I mean, there was 2 months last year. I mean, to me, that's not very fair, it's just, you know, I mean,
well,
not that I want to say,
it's, one of the problems
You know.
on a biannual reading is that you've got a 6-month time frame between readings. And that if there's a leak in the house, like I said, in 6 months, it can add up very quickly. You know, we are going to a quarterly billing system in the very near future, so there'll be 4 times a year.
Yeah.
It will also help the residents making their payments also,
Right.
be split in half.
but on top of that 6 months, then you don't get the bill for 2 more months.
Right,
You
by the
know,
time it's
that's-
processed and mailed and.
You know, this really hurts. Almost $5,000. Thank God I got the abatement.
So I'm gonna ask the board, what would you like to do? Do I put this on hold?
I would think we would want to act on any abatement at this point in time, simply
Okay.
because if you have continuing leakage,
Right,
you're going to be
right.
right back to the same.
No, I'm going to step on it tomorrow.
Yeah, oh,
We
yeah.
have to get to the bottom of
Yeah,
it.
you're-
I mean, if you need assistance, talk to the superintendent. They
Yeah,
can send the water department out to help you out.
okay,
I mean, we're not here to just collect your money and just say, see you later. I mean,
right,
if you really have a leak and you have a problem, you know, between the water department and how about the plumber to figure out what the issue is. There's no need for you having 91,000 gallons, but you're only
Oh, it's
using
a waste
50 to
of water,
20.
you're trying to, you know, especially in the summertime with bans on water, and here, my water's just such a waste.
I mean, do you have outside faucets or something, one of those things?
I do, but I haven't even,
Are they
haven't
leaking?
even been on other than to fill my water can. It's-
Yeah,
I-
because those things drip and they can leak
Yeah,
too.
don't brand
If
new.
you have a hose connected permanently or something like that with a faucet with a nozzle on it, you may not detect the leakage. So you do really want to check the
Check
faucets
everything,
themselves for leakage there, okay? And, you know, the staff from the water department will come
Okay,
provide the assistance because the board has directed it. But that assistance is troubleshooting, the repair is up to you and to a
right, right.
Coming out, see if the leak is.
We could do that. We could send someone out.
Yeah.
Take a
They
look.
can just look at it, see if it's moving.
Yeah,
Shows you have a leak, no?
well, I'll check it, I'll check the needle on the meter, I'll just, yes, and just see if it's moving, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Have you checked the meter? Has the meter been checked?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
would you put that on hold? Would you?
Put it on hold.
Okay, and I'll work
We'll
on
go
it
back
right
to us,
away.
we'll figure out something.
Okay.
I guess the thing I would say, Dan, is, just to make sure that no interest is occurring on any outstanding bill while this problem is being troubleshot.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate
I
it.
hope you have a good summer and find that leak.
I know, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to go to, we'll move the harbor master up a few minutes. If you don't mind, we have 5 minutes, so
Paul.
it says,
Paul.
Paul only has, Paul only has one more, right? I forget that.
Let's do Paul on one more
Want to
item.
bring it up?
oh, okay, let's take it out, fine.
We're gonna have Paul
We'll
ready
do
to go.
Paul, you can sit there. We'll do Paul, we can send him home.
Not bad, Paul.
Okay, item,
Can't talk any faster than I can.
items of action, this is the last one for Paul. Amendment number 1, contract 2020-17, professional service for flow meters design at 3 pump stations with GHD services. Paul.
Thank you. This is the engineering component of the same project that we just talked about, the construction of. I would like to just correct one minor thing I think I may have said incorrectly regarding the previous one for construction. I think I said that money might have been appropriated in town meeting of April 2018. In fact, the construction money was appropriated in 2019, but in fact, the mag meter engineering money was appropriated in 2018. $40,000 was appropriated, and the original contract for design was set at $25,000. There was nothing further spelled out. There was no other scope of services delineated in that at the time. So we really just do have to go through this, I think, the step of just amending that, just so we can uncork the remaining $15,000, so GHD can start doing the construction phase and engineering services for the 2 stations that we're going to be doing. Homestead Avenue and Anderson Drive. Their intent is to keep minimal site inspections. There'll be shop drawings, but they're really, it's not the kind of thing you're going to have that people on site much. So just a formal request just to do this so we can kind of get them going along with the contractor.
Any comments from the board?
No, fine with it.
All right, Dave? Yep. All right, I make a motion to approve amendment number 1 to contract 2020-17 flow meter design at 3 pump stations with GHD Services Incorporated, in the amount of $15,000, and to authorize the chairman or designated member to sign the contract documents when they are prepared. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Paul, you can go home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for coming in.
We'll see you again.
Thanks, Paul.
Take care, guys.
Okay. Now we'll go back. We still get here 2 minutes early.
That's good.
All right. So, Mr. Superintendent, I would like you to comment on what our harbor master is here for.
Yes, the harbor master has requested an appointment with the board in order to have a discussion in regards to using the DPW dredge spoils area to modify it to use as off-site parking for the harbor.
Okay.
Additional off-site parking for the harbor.
All right. Just for the listening public, we had a discussion on this a few meetings back. And was, probably in April, May.
It was June 7th in Boston.
That was like end of May maybe. And one of the comments I wanted to have is, I didn't have a problem with, utilizing that space, but I really had two concern. One concern was that there's a sunset clause that we get into a contract with for the use. And my concern is if we change the use of this, will we be able to use this site again for dredge spoils in the future? That was my two concerns.
I did have a conversation with town council this afternoon, and he said it would not impact our use of it as a dredge spoils area. We're grandfathered under the existing agreement, so it wouldn't, even if we allowed the parking there, it would not impact the need to use it as a dredge spoils area in the future.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to allow parking if we couldn't use it in the future, because it's very difficult to get a dredge spoil site one.
Yeah.
And that would really impact our whole operations down there.
Right, the site is very, if I might just.
Okay.
Tom, in your conversation with town council, Mr. Galvin, his statement about the grandfathering, what was his basis for that?
His basis was that we were sanctioned by DEP to use it as a dredge spoils area,
Okay.
and that, so we've been using it as a dredge spoil. We haven't used it recently.
Not since 2010.
Right. But he said that it's grandfathered as a dredge spoils area.
The regulatory body that I was concerned about, and apparently he didn't opine on it, would be coastal zone management.
Right.
Because as I recall, they were formulating regulations at the time we did the dredging in 2010. And because the regulations had not been drafted and had not yet been, put forth for comment and taken force, that at that time, they gave us, basically a waiver to just go by. But I don't, my concern would be that could turn around and be a one-time, and now we're running into problems later on to try to dredge. That would be my concern. I don't have a problem with necessarily going forward, but I would want to get a follow-up on that opinion through town council, as to where CCM stands with that, so that, if for some reason that is something that's going to throw a roadblock up, Mike doesn't go out there and spend a whole bunch of funds, and then suddenly have something rise out of the mud to stop it.
Right.
Well, CCM has a letter in '09 where, it's a DEP letter, and CCM weighed in, and they would like to see it returned to the salt marsh, and no dredging allowed. That's CCM, a letter to the DPW in '09.
That was in '09, but they also remember that they waived it at the time because it was there, and they recognized it, and the bottom line is, I don't believe at that time they wanted to take and bring it back then, not necessarily now. I don't think that the two are really interlocked, quite as strongly as you think.
Well, it is according to the GIS maps, it is marshland. That's what they recognize it. And the town of Marshfield recognizes it as salt marsh also. So I don't see how you can, there's no filling, evacuation, or other operation of salt marshes shall be permitted. Now, Mr. Grafton said it wasn't wetlands. I remember that at the meeting. Did he say that, Mike?
It's not wetlands.
It's not wetlands.
It's disturbed.
But it is wetlands according to the town GIS map.
Well, maybe that's accurate, John, but if.
So let me finish. So,
Okay.
I'm not here to go back and forth. I just want to finish. It is wetlands because it has phragmites. And with the national plan list, phragmites would indicate over 50% in that area. It is wetland. Mr. Grafton was totally off base on this. So you have a problem with wetlands, and you can shake your head all you want. But,
I'm going to read, yeah.
so let me finish.
Okay, I'm going to let you finish. Right, but the issue is,
Just let me finish.
I'm going to let you finish in a second. I'm going to put a
I
qualifier.
always does this.
The qualifier is that we're not the Conservation Commission. All right, that is really a definition of what needs to be done.
I'm gonna make my presentation.
And you can make your comment in a second, but the bottom line is, it's a conservation issue. And the mapping isn't always correct, no matter what you do. Designated. It's really the appropriate.
I said the
The appropriate organization in the town of Marshfield is the Conservation Commission. So I'll let you finish, but I just want to make sure that we don't have any designation, and my concern was the grandfathering component to it.
Are you done now?
I'm done now, go ahead, give me 5 minutes.
You're not gonna give me any time, I can take whatever I need. Don't start pulling that 5-minute stuff, Bill.
All right, give me up to 6 minutes.
The Frank Mighty's, they're more than 50%, so it is wetland. So, it's a salt marsh, and it's also wetland. And then you have a problem with a buffer zone on the southerly end, near the creek. You have a problem there, because you're within the 50-foot buffer zone. Right? It's on your map. It's on your map.
I'll wait till you're done, John.
So, the size of the project is over 2 acres, it's 90,000 square feet that will be bulldozed. That's what you're planning, I guess, because when I did talk to you, you said maybe 100 feet, maybe 200 feet. And when you talked with conservation, they asked you about the site plan, and you said, well, it could be more work, or it could be less work. So, no, it could be more work or less work, that's what you said.
Continue,
All right,
continue.
so that's, what I'm getting at is, it is a wetland. And where it is a wetland, I can't see alteration of the wetlands, the salt marshes would be permitted.
My turn now, or you done? John, do you need any more time, because you still got 4 minutes.
You knock it off, all right? You're a wise guy, Bobby, knock it off.
Okay.
Both of you stop, please.
I want to thank the Harbor Master for coming out, you can make your presentation now. One moment, let the Harbor Master speak first, and I'll let you speak afterwards, okay?
Okay, well, thank you for having me, I appreciate you being here tonight. So we last met June 6th, and you had the site plan. Since that time, the notice of intent has been completed, and the worst conditions have been filed in the Plymouth County deeds. The area is not a wetlands. The area was walked by DEP, and it was flagged by a wetland scientist. So I'm not sure where you got your information from, that's not what it is. I wait for you to speak, let me finish.
You asked me where I got the information.
But that's fine.
Okay.
If it was a wetlands, I seriously doubt DEP, CZM would allow you to dump dredge spoils in a wetland. So I don't think you're accurate in that sense. However, I know you had a question last time about the size and the scope of the project. I did go back and reduce the footprints of it. And also, town council also sent over, as early as today, the sunset clause, which was requested before. So those 2 items have been done. So these are both for your copies if you need to see them, or reduction in the park and things like that. There was also discussion of why we needed to use this area and what it's for. There is no way I would give up the primary function of the DSA for dredge spoils. That benefits the town and a lot of other people that use it. The last time that was used was 2010, like Dave alluded to. It was also used by Taylor Marine Corps for dredging as well. They put spoils in there as well, and they also paid to use it to the DPW. So the whole parcel was pretty big. It hasn't been utilized since 2010. The main function is for dredge spoils. If we ever filled that thing in our lifetime, I would be amazed. And if we get to a point where it takes 100,000, 200,000 cubic yards to fill that, then the parking would go on top of the parking would go away. But in the meantime, it's underutilized. It would benefit the park and all the associations with the park. And the other reason why this was brought up because of the influx of boat trailers and the boat ramp that are large size trailers now, the triple axle trailers, because a lot of people can't get in marinas with the amount of boats that are being purchased now. So a lot of people are traveling with their vessels, the truck, trailer, and boat. So, and those larger trailers don't fit in the standard parking spaces. So if we had this area, it would alleviate pure congestion and put the bigger trailers in that lot. And also, it would benefit the Harbor Park use of having the parking lot right there as well. Those are the reasons why it was built. Yes, the town is in the process of a new pier project. That's in preliminary stages. We're still doing the borings. Nothing's been filed with any agency as far as the pier project. That's probably 2-3 years down the road at this earliest. We don't even have funding for that. We didn't have enough money to even fund the permit, so that's down the road.
I'd like to address the trailers.
But
What's
You
that?
talk about these long 50-foot trailers.
I just did.
Yeah, and you talk, that's why you need this additional parking. Why can't we, this only happens if it does happen. It doesn't happen during the week, that's for sure. Because I'm down there twice a day, 365 with my wife and I, twice a day. But during the week, no problem. On the weekend, if it's a good weekend, yeah, you're gonna have some long trailers there. Not that many, 3 or 4. Why not just park the trailer in the space, disconnect the vehicle, and put it down Harbor Park? No problem.
The truck?
Yeah, you're talking, you're gonna put the trailer down there with the truck, the F-150. They're gonna walk back. Just leave the trailer in that spot, it's not blocking anybody, it will fit. Take the vehicle, put it down across from Harbor Park.
Well, so now you're obligating 2 parking spaces, one for the trailer and one for the truck. You're actually,
You
you're actually adding
don't
work.
have a crowd down at the Harbor Park. I have never seen that thing crowded at all. No, absolutely. So that's a solution right there for your trailers.
Well, the NOI is also completed and order conditions filed, and it also has a walking trail on the perimeter of this property as well for passive recreation, so that'll be part of the future plans as well, if we have the funding to do that. So it kind of ties into Harbor Walk with a nice trail around the top of the berm of the dredge pools area.
It's the only segue in, because the only thing allowed is a walkway.
It's not true.
That is true. I agree just like you, you know.
Okay.
If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but...
Yes, any other board members like to comment? Dave?
I do want to comment on the
Bob Oswald? No, wait, let Dave talk, and I'll let you talk.
attorney's comment. With regard to separating trailer and parking, having watched too many people maneuver and manipulate and uncouple and recouple boat trailers, I see that as a greater hazard to pedestrians, fellow boat movers and the like. Because I've seen the people screw it up bad, John. They just had a recent one where they just offloaded the boat, rolling over on a guy down there.
No,
I mean,
this is an
separating the trailers, I'm making my statement.
Go ahead.
And my statement is that I don't agree to the idea of separating the vehicles and the trailers. That will lead to additional unintended consequences, like that sort of thing always does. And that's my position on that.
It's an empty trailer.
Okay,
It doesn't have a motor.
Actually, I'll echo Dave's concern that it's an unwanted risk that we really don't want to have. Okay, now I want to recognize the man in the back of the room.
Okay.
Who's been waiting.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of comments. My name is Bob Oswald, I live in Cove Street, and I live in the vicinity of the park down there, what have you. And just a couple of general comments. On the weekend, down the town pier, it's horrendous for parking. And, you know, I don't know if anybody polices the traffic situation down there. Going down the road, barely 2 cars can make it past where the boats are parked. Some of the trailers, trucks are butting, actually sticking into the road. And nobody polices the trucks down there, what have you. I don't know if they need somebody down there on a weekend or during the week, to park the trucks to make sure that they stay in the lines that they're in. Second question I have, if this project is approved, are they going to have to bring in fill to make the parking area that is proposed? And I don't know if that question would be through the committee, to the harbor master, or to Mr. Reynolds.
That is a question that would be to the harbor master.
Okay?
Yes, Phil would have to come in, sir.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Yes, Phil would have to come in.
Okay, now, where are you proposing to get the fill from? Like the dredgings of the river?
It'll be a very, which is like a rock based, maybe reclaimed asphalt, something like that. Wherever we can get relatively cheap.
Okay, so it would not be the dredgings from the river?
No, well, that would be pushed back down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just,
Yeah.
I see what the town just got approved for dredgings and what have you, whatever. My concern is here because I live in Cove Street and heavy equipment goes up and down there for the dredgings of the river. And the road is pretty bad as it is now.
So are you talking the dredge spoils from the Narrows?
Yes.
That would not go into the DSA, so that's valuable material.
Okay.
That's not for a parking lot.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I see another person at the back of the room. Please state your name.
Yeah, Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road. First of all, for some clarification, did I hear you say, Mr. Shaughnessy, something about reverting the proposed parking area to future dredge spoils usage?
My concern is, this is in a dredge spoils area,
Yeah.
and that we don't want to lose that ability to use it as a dredge spoils area in the future.
You mean if it's a parking lot, you want it to
If
be a
we
dredge
change the
spoil?
use from a current grandfathered in dredge spoils area to a parking area,
Yeah.
do we lose our ability in the future to use that space again as a dredge spoils area? Because it's very, very limited in where we can put dredge spoils. And our concern, my highest concern is the welfare of our ability to maintain these harbors and dredge it because sometime in the future. It might not be for 10 years, but I don't want to cut our ability off. And what I'm hearing is it will not change, and we will not lose our grandfather approval for using it as a dredge spoils facility.
Well, my reason why I asked that is because how would you then convert a parking area back to a dredge spoils area? Which begs the question, what is the parking area going to be? Is it going to be just gravel or recycled asphalt, as I heard? Because I did see a sketch somewhere that showed like lines, parking area lines. And I don't know if you can paint on top of gravel or mark on top of gravel. And what's going to happen with managing the drainage if this new parking lot is built? To me, the DPW should be concerned about leveling and grading and filling, and now managing the runoff from a new parking lot, 2 acres of parking. And to me, you've got all kinds of inlets and drainage regime out there right now. I mean, has anybody asked the question, how is the parking lot going to be constructed? And how is it going to affect the existing drainage regime that you have out there? I haven't seen or heard anything about that.
So
I
that
don't think the DPW would be concerned about
Well, the DPW is concerned, and we have an engineer that deals with that. And we also have a board of a conservation commission that also deals with that. And those are the types of questions that we have our engineers overseeing what's going to happen, and they report back to the board. It's not the responsibility of the Board of Public Works to make those type of responsibilities, because it's not under our responsibility. We have a separate board to deal with that. That's the Conservation Commission. What did the Conservation, what did the Conservation Commission say regarding that?
They said no drainage, no permanent asphalt, it has to be pervious material where it would drain. And it's also sloped to the northeast where all the runoff would stay in there if there was runoff in there. And we actually walked the area on an 11-foot tide with DEP and it was bone dry in there.
Okay.
it. Right, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
He basically said they walked it with DEP to, I guess, at high tide, you said, correct?
On an 11-foot tide.
And with weather, it was dry. The only constraint is there has to be all pervious material, no impervious material. Is that correct, Mr. DeMail?
Yes.
What was bone dry?
The parking area.
Well, the existing parking
And
area.
correct DSA, inside.
And basically, the level of the current, of the proposed parking area is going to be approximately the same elevation, is that not correct?
The front lot will come up and it'll slope down.
It's going to be sloped back, basically, you're going to raise it to pitch it to grade.
Also, if you look at the site plan,
Yeah.
where Mr. Pessimist looked at the parking spaces,
Yeah.
that was just to give an illustration of what it could look like or what it could be. Nothing says it's gonna be this, it could be less, obviously can't be more.
Yeah.
But you can see how the lines were all laid out in the parking spaces. That's where we kind of reduced the parking for the better radiuses and the turning radius of the trailers and things like that.
I mean, but the lines that you have in the drawing are for schematic purposes only. They don't represent what you're going to have as permanent markers, whether that might be pieces of rope or something like that.
Both chain, yeah.
Will the, can I follow?
I still have one more
Okay,
follow-up,
fine.
Joe, okay? With that said, are you planning to use any geotech fabric underneath? No, okay, so they won't be involved either.
No,
That's
because
something not to be worried about.
if I use geotech and we have used it for dredge spoils,
Right, yeah.
then it would.
You'd have to rip it up.
Yeah, so,
More work. The additional question, I guess, on the subject is from a drainage standpoint, we just got through with basically just under an inch of rain, probably in about a 4.5-hour period today. What was the water like in the parking lot when you came up today coming by?
oh, the front lot was wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was puddles, but that's where that's gonna slope back.
Well, Mr. Peskovich still has the floor.
Again, you're talking about moving a berm in, bulldozing all that material into what I observe as wetlands. And now you're not going to have the same kind of drainage or water management issues that you saw today. So what you saw today with your 1.5-inch rain or whatever is not applicable. Second thing.
Well, I would interrupt you right there. If he is sloping and pitching, it actually will improve rather than pond at a full level on the area.
Well, I hope the board has seen the plans and the...
I have, and I've walked the spot with Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, right. The other thing is, what about the entryways that was proposed in the parking area? There are guardrails and all kinds of curbing and everything there. Aren't you gonna have a big, broad new entryway? And who's gonna pay for all that?
It's part of the process of the plan, sir.
Right now, the
Well, see, I'm hearing the engineers are gonna take care of it. You're not gonna, you can't learn or know anything now, but the engineers will take care of it all.
I
So
didn't
just
say
go
that.
to bed and not worry about
I
it.
didn't say that.
Now, the other thing I want to...
Excuse me, I'm not done. No.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
have the floor,
Go
okay? I looked at the plan he has, which is an improvement to the entry area versus where it is right now, where it sits actually on the curved area. And I've stepped out in front of that with somebody flying down Town Pier Road, very big way to prefer. Bottom line is that those engineering details are part of what Amory Engineering has been working on, and what they have been consulting, to my knowledge, with Rod Parkachino. Isn't that correct? Mike, you know that? Or Tom?
What's that?
And I believe Rod has had some consultation.
Yes,
with
he
you on
has.
this. Okay, so the town engineer is on this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not good enough.
Oh, maybe not good enough for you.
No, it's not good enough for me.
It's good enough for me.
The last point I want to make right now is that the last 2 attempts to use that as a dredge spoil area failed. And the state said it was inappropriate and unusable because it lacked the specific, the area and dewatering capacity that would be required for a dredge spoils area. So in effect, the state's recommendation back in 2009, 2010, that it should revert fully to a saltwater marsh is what should have been pursued all along.
In your opinion.
No, that's what the state said.
Okay,
But that wasn't my opinion, and I happen to agree with it.
That's in
The big push here is you want the money. You want the business, you want the fees. That's all this is all about. And you guys are fully on board with it without any consideration for impacts to the wildlife, for impacts to water quality. That's all you're about.
No, it isn't.
It's quite simple.
It has
Don't
nothing to
try
do
to
with that.
pretend like you care
No,
about
we
the
don't
environment.
care about that, and we have engineers, and we have a conservation commission.
Yeah, engineers.
Okay, fine, and then you can bring something up that's 15 years old that we can't verify at this meeting.
Mr. Shaughnessy,
So, go from there, sure,
you mentioned the fact future dredgings and what have you.
yes.
As I pointed out before, I live on Cove Street. When they come down to dredge the riverway down there, they use Cove Street. It's nothing but a dirt street. It's nothing but potholes 6 inches deep. Now, some of the people in the neighborhood have called the town, and the town has said, oh, that's a private way. We don't have funding for it. Let me be put on record, and I'll speak for the association down there right now. We do not wish to have Cove Street as a trucking unit for the dredgings in the future, because the road gets speed up. The contractors come down, they perform maintenance on the road, they fill the side abutments of the road, and conservation comes down and blames the residents down there for that.
So I
We're
got,
tired of that.
okay, I have,
I'm making my point here. The reason I'm making my point here, because I did speak to Mr. Reynolds, I saw him that day, and the conversation was a little rough there, what have you. Went it out to conservation. Conservation doesn't answer phone calls, so now I gotta call the town administrator to get conservation's attention. Conservation just don't care in this town. They're running roughshod over everybody. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this town that go along with it. Now, if they start building down there, how are they gonna bring in the heavy equipment in to do the work down there? The roads down there are narrow, it's full of beach people, nobody cares. The traffic down there, you know, on Central Street, one individual tried to put up a sign because Central Street is a Hershey highway between the town pier going up to Island Street. People just don't care about that part of town. And the neighbors down there are getting tired. And this is one of the reasons why I came to this meeting here. We had an issue with the gas company last year with conservation gave the gas company a permit. The gas company took the diggings on the road and brought in sand. The front of my house is nothing but a sand bucket now. And we brought it up to conservation, and they said, oh, we'll get back to you. Well, conservation got back to my wife 2 months later in the middle of winter. Nobody cares. And guess what? I'm old, I'm deaf, spent 40 years in the military, and I'm gonna speak up. If I don't think it's right, guess what? I'm gonna step in front of some trucks down there.
So I'm going,
And I'm on record here.
Okay.
Mr. Shaughnessy, you have to listen to the people who talk. These people here are the taxpayers. These people here are the employees of the town, not the town. And the town has to
So I'm
realize.
going to ask a question to the superintendent in the issue you just brought up. We have an appropriation every year to maintain private roads.
No, we don't.
We used to have them.
We used to. They took it away.
So guess what?
So would Cove Road be eligible for those funds?
Yes.
So could you explain to this gentleman?
I
what
had
that
explained to him on a number of occasions.
So we had an
A number of
appropriation.
conversations with Mr.
Yeah, okay.
Russell.
We've had appropriations because we have a lot of private roads in this town, open to the public,
Understand.
right? And wait a second, we had $30,000, there was actually 2 appropriations.
It was $65,000.
Right.
30 for maintaining private roads, and the other one was repair of private roads.
Right, there was 2 appropriations that we had, that we could actually fix your road. And but we needed we needed a town meeting to do that. We need to put that back into town meeting. That's really what we're arguing here, is that they took away our ability to maintain your type of road.
No, it didn't take your ability. You
If they took the money away, they did.
You people are to legislate for the TPW of the town. That's what you people elected for, okay?
If I could interrupt you for 2
Yes.
minutes, okay. Mass general law actually requires a vote at town meeting to
Okay, I
specifically
understand that.
appropriate those funds. We always had an article to that effect until probably the last 6 years.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay? And it was done away with. I sat in front of
Okay.
the advisory board on many occasions as a private citizen after I retired from the superintendent's position. And my bottom line to them when they would want to blow that off is I'd say, if you don't vote it, you can't spend it. That is the way town
Well, guess
legislation
what?
and
If you
finances
can't
work.
vote, you can't spend it, then you're not gonna beat the road up. It's easy as that. Who's gonna be responsible for filling the potholes and what have you in the road after the heavy equipment goes down? And after they do maintenance of the road, whatever, they spill oil on the road, they put down the diapers to pick up the oil, they take the heavy equipment out, nobody comes down. Not one person comes down to see what they're doing down there, whether it be the conservation issues of the permit, or the DPW, or the harbor master's office.
I've been down there plenty of times watching them dredge. I've seen them
Yes.
actually grade the road as they leave
Thank you, John.
the property.
Road,
I've seen
Grade
it,
the
I've been
road?
there, I've
I
witnessed
don't think
it.
so.
I know for a
I
fact.
got one question for this gentleman.
Sure.
So, in a perfect world, sir, so if the Army Corps came in and came to you and said, hey, can we put material in your front beach, you would say no? For beach nourishment, you would
Guess
say no?
what? In years past, they haven't done it.
They have
They
before.
did it 1 year.
But I'm saying,
But
if
the
that was
only reason
not,
why they did it because you ran out of time and money to truck it out.
but what I'm saying is, so if that was offered to you again, you would say no?
Nobody's offered it.
I'm not asking, I'm asking you, would you be amendable to that?
Sure.
But you don't want the trucks that come down the road to support your infrastructure. That's what
Also,
I'm saying.
and when I've asked that question before, put in there, I was told the following winter it just gets washed back in the Kale.
So the bottom line is, when they did the process, about a summer, hopefully, is when they did the process, they graded the road. We graded the road,
Yes, they did.
right? The issue of maintaining the roads on an annual basis has been taken away from the DPW. We would like to put it back, and if you want to go to town meeting, support it.
I'd be more than happy to.
We
I can
need,
understand Mr. Reynolds' position. His hands are tied, there's many voters in this town here. And sometimes you gotta get out and get a rattle, kick the bucket a few times.
and we need to get that ability to do that. Even if we had $1 million in Chapter 90 money, and no money from the legislative piece, as Dave just said, of having that money set aside, we can't touch those roads. We need a vote at town meeting.
Okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is I understand the town just got money for dredging. Am I correct there?
It's federal money, yes, the Army Corps project.
Where they gonna bring in the equipment?
What? Probably by March.
By barge this time? Not gonna bring
They
it down?
do the inner
Not
harbor.
down Cove Street?
I'm not sure yet. Nothing's been guaranteed for the outer harbor just yet. That money is for the inner harbor dredging as we did 10 years ago. That's what that money is for.
So are you gonna be trucking out material?
What's that?
Are they gonna be trucking out material?
It's not my project, it's the Army Corps project. The material that's inside the harbor will probably go offshore.
I understand it's a federal government project, but it's a give and take proposition here. This is what it comes down to. Town and federal government, what have you. You get a little, give a little here, you take a little here.
We
That's
get back
what
on
we're
board.
accepting.
So, well, before, the tack to take, okay, because you are actually, it's easier for you to get it on the town meeting warrant than it is for us sometimes, because we submit to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen decide what goes on the warrant. We don't, okay? A citizen's petition always goes through. And if you put a citizen's petition in affiliated with, you know, will the town vote to support funding for repairs to private ways when utilities do work, when the Army Corps of Engineers comes in to use heavy equipment and dredging, or any other such projects of that type. You create an article like that and you put it through, okay, and then the funding comes, if people support it at town meeting. If they don't, the funding doesn't come.
We could actually put an article in for the fall town meeting, correct?
It's come down to a safety issue because the fire department, they almost break the rifles of the fire truck when they go down the road.
I understand the issue. I was walking it
I
down
have no,
a year ago, when the gas company had been in there doing their work. Gentleman that's now on the Board of Selectmen, I believe, was on the Conservation Commission as the chair. And he was calling me about some questions on the subject. And I walked it with him. And unfortunately, under Chapter 166 of the Mass General Laws, a utility does not have to give any notice to come in for anything that has already been cited and permitted.
I know, I went to the conservation meeting when they gave me the permit, and I asked them who was gonna oversee the permit. And conservation said they would. Never once did they come down, and the road is a pothole. Okay, well, thank you very much for.
No, before you go,
Yes.
as Dave said, would you be willing to put a citizen's petition for your association
Oh, people.
to put it on, can we put it on the fall town meeting?
Special town meeting is going to require more signatures than if you go for the next annual town meeting, which should be in ample time to cover the next dredging operation.
But we have to suffer with the potholes till then.
No, you could just call me what we have, 100 signatures is not.
Yeah, you need 100 signatures to get on a special town meeting warrant.
More than me.
Okay.
So we're gonna put it in ourselves, but if you put it in too, that means that we would have the ability to fix your road.
Well, I want one clarification, actually, from the superintendent. You know, the argument that we've heard during the during the annual budgeting process has been that the voted funds for town roads, by the interpretation of town council, has he let us use that for private way repair? As long as it's open to the public, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it has to be open to the public in general passage. Okay, that's the other rub that you have there, whereas the article we used to get voted, that wasn't there. It was emergency repairs to private ways, and it didn't require anything because it was for emergency purposes.
Okay.
We still need that to appropriate that. You know, it's very clear, the people who live on a private road, that if we get an appropriation, we can fix your road. And
Thank you very much.
that's where our hands are tied on this.
Nothing else,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Mr. Habermas, I would like to give you the last word.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a request to see this letter about grandfathering that came from the town attorney. And also, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see the plans that Mr. Carrier says he reviewed, So consider that a public records request, and
We'll get
as
that
part of this
ready.
hearing, as part of this, I'm not hearing, but as part of this discussion.
Whoa, wait a second. Really, public requests, public hearing, public records requests need to be in writing.
No, they do
Do I
not.
have to write, is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. But I mean, it will be noted in the minutes, and the superintendent, we can see.
See, whatever plans Mr. Carrier was referring to, that he said he reviewed, which are not available for the public to look at.
The plans that I reviewed actually were the prior plans that came before us, and
I don't
suggested
know.
modifications, I suggest, no, we can provide it because it was part of the record for the town for the prior meeting. But what you're more interested in right now is the plans that are in front of us now, I think.
Right.
Because those are the plans we're going forward with. And that record request can go to Ms. Sacchetti, and she'll be happy to make the copies for you for the appropriate cost.
Yeah, well, we'll consider it my request right now, and, I'll follow up.
So those are from the new plans?
There'll be the plans we're currently discussing.
Right, okay. Okay,
I have a couple of questions.
Thank you.
okay,
I have a couple of questions.
before you do that, I want to recognize Mr. Kelly in the back of the,
Oh, Mr. Kelly, I didn't know you had your hand up.
Well, I was waiting for everything to get over with. I wasn't gonna pull my hand up the whole time.
Good, just,
Thank you, everybody, Ms. Johnson. Listening to what's going on here in congestion of the parking and all that, and all that, I want to ask how Master Tomeo if he's ever considered or put plans forward to reconfigure the parking lot for these long trailers. I mean, I've been down there a couple of times, and the parking lot's not full during the week, so I mean, without getting into this massive project, which I'm sure us, the taxpayers of Marshall, will probably be asked me on the hook for eventually at some point in time. I was wondering if he ever put a plan forward to reconfigure the parking lot to accommodate these long trailers.
Yeah, that was discussed, it was looked at, but at this time, it's not feasible with the new pier project that's potentially coming in the next 3 years. And also, that parking lot falls under the State Public Access Board. The whole issue is pure congestion, getting the big trailers out of the parking lot so the fishermen can get to the pier, offload, reduce car accidents in the parking spaces. If you drive down on a weekend sometimes, like this gentleman mentioned, some of the cars are out to the street, some cars are blocking 2 lanes, and it literally blocks one side of Jebeck Way, and it blocks one whole lane of trailers trying to get through for 8 hours, and they do get citations issued, okay? But if we can manage a lot a little better, put the bigger trailers into that parking lot, it'll help clear things up a lot better.
So this is all based on, I'm going to get the question of possibility of the pad being done over, or is that already an approved plan?
It's not approved, it's preliminary
It's
plan.
preliminary, so
There's
for
not
the
even-
reason,
there's no
that
funding, that this plan has to do with getting access to Harbor Park. When we do the walking trail, where people are going to utilize it, obviously, the Harbor Walk's one of the popular spots on the South Shore, which is highlights Marshfield. Also takes all those people that go to Harbor Park, they can park at Harbor Park, not in the town their parking lot. And the bigger trails can park over there as well.
I was looking at, this is all based on the pier being done over, whenever that gets done over, and this is going to allow for the expansion of it, which is, I'm going to be under the impression you said it's something in the works, it's not definitive at the moment. So it looks to me like you're just trying to get your pieces in order. I don't blame you. The whole thing is that I would like, without making some big expanse to the another area, which is potentially wetlands or not, I guess that's something that needs to be ironed out. But based on the possibility of the pier being done over, being able to fit these long trails in the new pier, and then maybe working something out in the other area without it being too big for maybe the smaller trailers and all that. My look at is that expand the area you're talking about, you got some new parking and pushing it back and everything. You have houses in the back there, and we've had some pretty good rainfalls recently. And my concern is that you may create a water issue there for those people that live back there in regards to runoff and everything. Because you say you're going to use something impermeable, But the whole thing is that you're gonna get, these rainstorms, even, because you say you're gonna pitch it towards those people's houses, I imagine. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, it's pushed into the north-northeast, but that's where that.
All right, so north,
The
all right, so
reason why that
correct the north,
the
northeast
reason why
towards
that
the people's
berm was
houses.
built at that location is to hold the water and hold everything inside of it. That's why it was built. So I don't think there'd be an issue of water runoff onto Highland.
You don't think, but we don't know. So that's maybe something that hasn't been looked into at the moment, is what you're saying.
It's not gonna happen.
The houses at Cherry Street get flooded as is now. This probably create more of a problem, I think.
I will say that of all the abutters, I think it was 78 of them, they were notified of this project. We've been through the DEP process, the NOI appeal process. I mean, we're here now, this is the last step. All those things have been done.
No, you have to go before the selectmen or the planning board.
Okay. Hold on, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you brought up the fact that you wanted to make sure it was left open, that you could reuse that area that he wants to make a parking lot for future dredge spoils. Would I be correct about that?
I'm concerned with that.
But you want to make sure that you want to be able to use it again, right? So if you were to need to use that in the future for dredge spoils, now I don't know how much dredge spoils that comes in, I don't know what the tonnage is, but the whole thing is that if you needed to use that area again, wouldn't it cost the town, the taxpayers, money to do something with that parking lot so you could fit the dredge spoils back in there?
My understanding that it would be minimal, removing some of the gravel.
Probably wouldn't be allowed under state law anyway.
Yeah, see, it's minimal, we don't know that. See, this is the
Well,
whole thing, is that
yeah.
we'll be spending money, Mr. Chairperson, we'll be spending money to do this parking lot, this massive parking lot, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna be spending money to reclaim an area for the dredge spoils in the future. It's not fair to the taxpayers in any means. I would like to see Officer Tomato come up with something else. I think there's more options out there. I think this is.
So, back in May or June, my concern was that I wanted to have a written agreement that the board would either approve or deny of what the ramifications are about the dredge spoils and a sunset clause, so it doesn't get, so we don't lose the ability to have use this as a dredge spoils in the future. And also, what the cost would be to put it back in, so that it would all be part of that agreement. Go ahead.
Yes, so to your point, we're not using the whole entire spot. The whole northeast side of it is wide open for dredge spoils. If we ever got to the point where we encroach in the parking lot, then the parking lot would probably have to go away or be reduced. But there's more than enough room in there for many, many dredge spoils projects, including the towns. There's plenty of room in there for future dredge projects. Like I said, it hasn't been used in over 10 years. At this time, the Green Harbor Yacht Club has permits to dredge. They're going to Cape Cod Bay, so they're not going to use it. The Army Corps is probably not going to use it. The town could potentially use this in 2 years. Last time the town used it, it was a mere 5,000 cubic yards. Spread out in there, you would not even see it.
Correct.
So it's not, we're not talking
So,
of large amounts.
I want to thank the town master.
I got some questions.
And more, and also, so there's only 18 trailer spaces that are on this plan to use that, only 18 trailer spaces.
Oh, plan
For the Harbor Park parking lot.
Yeah, the real strike.
18
I
trailers.
got some questions. So, we haven't discussed maintenance of this project, that's one thing. So, who's gonna maintain it? We haven't discussed the wildlife and disturbance. Also, Mike, you're gonna need a floodplain permit from the town. It's gonna require a floodplain permit. Are you aware of that?
Look into it, but
Yeah.
I know I filed, so.
Ask the building commissioner, because you're gonna need it's right here in 15.04 floodplain permits. So,
What's that regard to? For a parking lot?
you want me to read it for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the elevation.
Town lot requires a permit for all proposed construction or other development in the floodplain overlay district, including new construction and changes to existing building replacement, manufactured home placement.
Building?
A why don't you just go read it, okay? This was passed at town meeting, okay? I'm trying to read it, and you're making a wise comment,
I'll give it to you.
okay?
I'm not, you,
Yeah, you
well,
are,
I didn't hear parking, but I heard buildings.
yeah, well, I'm reading,
Okay.
okay, that's in there, okay?
If it's needed, sir, I will gladly get it.
You can give it away.
Including alteration of topography, filling or removal of earth.
So, are these the notes you're talking about? Can I get this to,
Sure, go ahead. Because that spells out that it is wetlands. The state has mapped this as a salt marsh. There was no discussion about salt marshes at the conservation. So they just glossed over it.
okay. Anything else, John?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I want to give the harbor master the last word.
No, I just appreciate you guys' time, and I know, like I said, the project was reviewed to school, but I know some opposition to it, but I think it has the public benefit for many, many uses with the walking trail, passive recreation. I think it addresses the parking congestion the town here has been noted for many, many years, and this is a good use of town property that's underutilized.
I want to thank you for coming, and thank you for doing a good job in the town of Marshall. It shows. Okay. So we'll just wait for town council on the agreement and the sunset
The
clause?
sunset clause is in front of you, I left the packet.
Oh, we do have it, we have it.
Right there.
Okay.
I would note that this does refer to the fact that it's expressly understood and agreed that by undertaking this work, undertaking the work in this agreement, the public department, works department is not undertaking any responsibility for financial obligation, for any capital improvements, major repairs, or any compliance with any local or state work. And that's basically, there is no real work for us described in here. It is actually all on the backs of the harbor master.
Okay.
And I believe that would be one concern I would have is, I believe, that instead on through the second page, if you have your copy.
Which one?
Okay, number 3. It is expressly understood and agreed that by undertaking the work in this agreement. And as I read this agreement, there's no real work for us, it's to release, to allow the harbor master to do the work. And therefore, I would say by undertaking this agreement, eliminating the work, because, my understanding is that, the agreement basically states that the harbor master's department is going to maintain the area, not us. So I don't know why the reference to work is in there. On the first sentence.
And the first,
Page 2,
understood,
item 3,
yep, the
it is
undertaking.
expressly
work
understood
in
and
this
agreed that by
agreement.
undertaking the work in this agreement. And I don't see any actual work described for us here. And therefore, I don't believe the word work should be there. That should come out and should be by undertaking this agreement. Eliminate in, by undertaking the work in this, you take that out. But just make it undertaking this agreement.
I can have him make that change.
Please.
Any other comments on the agreement? This is the first time I've seen it.
So we just proceeded tonight.
Yeah.
And read through that tonight, that was the only change I had. Before I can sign this.
Is there an end date on this?
I believe it references a 10-year period in the left page.
And is there a renewal period?
No, it's like I've been the second page.
It does say that it can be, unless otherwise extended in writing.
Where's that from?
It's item 1 on the first page at
First
the
page,
bottom.
okay, unless I've got the 10 years there, it's very bottom of the page.
Oh, okay. I would like to take some advisement and, do we don't have a meeting until another month. When is when would you, be required to do this whole, or hold you up at all?
Start June, for the month. I mean, it's just one word in a
Well,
document.
there's one word that I picked out. He's basically, we haven't had a chance to see this. This is the first time we've seen it, that, I don't know when it was received from town council
This afternoon.
this afternoon. And, that's kind of putting us under the gun on it, with regard to the agreement itself. I guess I would basically, let me put it this way. Is there a way in which you can accommodate this, Tom, and be aware of, for Bob, that, on a provisional basis for the vote? With pending
This is not
basic,
under appointment, this is not under action item.
I recognize that, John. I'm asking a question. I still can ask.
You mentioned,
Okay, if you want to take a point of order,
you mentioned vote.
yeah, I mean, I know. But I mean, it would be, I can't, there's a way to make a, provisional vote. The other would be, the only other alternative we would have would be to have a single purpose meeting.
2 weeks?
Once we get the comments back from town council, just to handle this and get it done.
We could poll the board?
I'm okay with the agreement as long as we wordsmith it out. And pending the wordsmithing, move forward.
What you could do is, you could make a motion tentatively on what the town council says in regards to the change of the sunset clause.
Okay, Dave, you want to make one?
Well, no, he just asked a question of me, the chair did that, sorry.
I got a comment.
Go ahead,
You said, I asked this afternoon, this under an appointment, this is no vote. I asked you that this afternoon.
Right, you said it was under discussion.
It's under appointment, and no, there would be no vote. I asked you that, and you said no, there would be no vote.
So let's have no vote.
I said there'd be no vote if it was under discussion.
Okay, so
This
let's put it
isn't
this way.
under discussion on the agenda.
It's an appointment,
It's an appointment.
yeah.
So we can't make a vote because it's not on the agenda.
Okay, what I would like to do, then is, Mr. Chairman, is acceptable to you and also to you, Mr. Cusick, would be, refer this back to town council. I want to give it a thorough read. I will have all my comments to you no later than tomorrow morning, okay? And
Me too.
I would want to have town council tell us how quickly he can get this turned around again. And then I would like to propose that we have a single meeting, purpose to either vote yea or nay, and put it aside and do it, forthwith. That's the position I'd like the board to take as a consensus.
I agree with that.
So do I, obviously, having made it.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, so it's a 2-to-1 consensus position.
It's 2 acres that's not needed. It's just for your town pier, that's all.
We understand your position on it, John.
Well, I know,
I just don't necessarily agree with it.
Come on, you
Mr. Kelly.
gotta bridge this time.
Thank you, Chairperson. Excuse me, I was just, without having whatever you have in front of you, the agreement, one is it possible to get a copy of that? And before you guys rush it through, anybody that's interested in reviewing like myself, give some time in case the general public has any comments on it.
Well, this is a work product from town council. I'm not sure that it is subject to the open meeting record.
It's a public meeting, it's a document.
It's a question to pose to town council.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I don't know the answer to it.
No, all right, you do whatever you gotta do. I'm just saying, I would respectfully request that
I'm gonna give you this copy, so
you
know.
don't rush this at the moment. I would be interested in looking at this document as well. I may have a comment. But one of the comments on it, if I heard correctly on it, and you can correct me.
If you have comments, I would suggest, sir, that Mr. Cusick has said that he's going to provide his copy. Okay, before you go, John, please, okay? What I would request you do is route those comments back from Mr. Cusick, so that the board, it's a board comment going to town council, if that's acceptable to you.
Run that back again?
He's gonna give you the sheet, you
Yeah.
make your comments, you let John know what the comments are, and John will act as a board member through the town superintendent to town council.
Oh, okay.
Okay, since town council has generated this document, not for the purposes of general comment from the public, but rather from the board, who has to sign it.
The public document.
All
Maybe a
right.
couple
Oh, I gotta feel
of-
it. All right.
Necessary.
It's a draft of a public document.
I mean, the whole thing is that you made a public comment in regards to the agreement, and that was that the harbor master would be fully responsible for the maintenance of this, if I'm correct?
On a fast reading through it, but my opinion, the statement is here that basically it is going to be under the maintenance authority of the harbor master, Marshfield Police Department, not the Department of Public Works, as far as any issues and regulations, cleanups that have to take place. That's basically how it's read. However, that's on a fast read through, and I haven't given it a thorough read, so I am caveating in that manner.
Are we putting barrels down there? Fresh?
So,
The only thing I would say to that is I believe in the charter that the DPW has the overall responsibility of all the town property. Would I be correct about that?
You are correct within certain limits. For example, we don't have any authority in school property beyond cutting the fields. They pick up their trash, they put their trash out, and then our dumpsters pick it up.
If that's written in there, I understand that. I mean, you're in charge of plowing the school property and cotton fields and all that, right?
We take care of physical property. We are not in charge of taking care of buildings.
Right,
And
right.
certain areas, if the responsibility is taken by another party and by an agreement, then they have that responsibility.
I don't recall seeing that in the charter, but that was something we looked into.
okay,
Thank you anyway.
so if you make comments, could you get them back to John tomorrow?
All right,
Can you get back to the superintendent?
not tomorrow, no.
What's the rush? What's the rush?
Well, when you get back to town council in time, yeah.
What's the rush? You wanna rush this thing through? What's the rush?
Basically, he's in a project process that is about 2/3 finished, roughly, like, is a round number? Yeah, okay. I don't want to delay a project if I can help it, because that's,
Today is Monday, that's when you do by Wednesday.
I don't agree.
I'll do my best.
You're not there.
Okay, so if we don't hear anything from Wednesday, from John, then we're going to assume that there's no comment.
You know,
All right.
give them
All
a
right?
week.
And if we have to schedule a meeting, for next week, we'll set a meeting for this one item only.
Okay,
Maybe a week, Eric.
Thank you, guys.
Well, but could I ask this one?
Did you have
If I don't have the time to review it and all that, and
Full size?
and get a contact with John, you're gonna have another meeting.
Yeah.
Is that an extra set?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If the general public wants that, they can give me a free information, request, I'll gladly give it to them. Forward across the printer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Let's get on to the rest of the agenda. Items for action. Revision to the Marshall Code number 285-19.1, bylaw 94 draft. This is a Dave Terry issue. I will refer it to Dave Terry.
Okay. You received a copy of the revision that I did. Regrettably, the color printing did not come through in the transfer. But basically, if you look in your package, there is a copy underneath where it says Marshfield Code.
Here it is.
Okay.
No, maybe later than the rest. I get it.
Right, it didn't really come through that well, but it is later than the last. But basically, 5 sentences down, right after referred to as Zone 2, it begins as, entities performing activities, and it continues down to the next time at the end where you see Zone 1 and Zone 2, and then there is an existing sentence that goes through underground services, fuel supply maintenance, and then at that point I added additional comma, construction and maintenance activities of any kind.
I get that.
Yeah.
Between the parentheses.
So you got it, okay. And, then, of course, the reasoning for this is the PFAS issue, and the aim of this bylaw, and basically it's just been cleaned up so that the, the lead-in paragraph and the subsequent paragraphs mesh to the new revision that we're proposing here to the bylaw, which is now Marshfield Code, excuse me to use the correct term. And just as a reminder of, the original code, this code was originally initiated with Verizon Corporation, operating under permissions granted under Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 32. Utilized a contractor applying pesticides. And I believe that those pesticides may have had some PFAS in them. I still have some MSDS sheets tucked away in a box that I've yet to dredge out. And that's my concern, is to make sure that stop. That we basically try to exclude the PFAS to the extent we can for any contractor coming through, doing work in town that gets in Zone 1 or Zone 2 in particular. I'm particularly concerned about any upgrading areas that are there. Obviously, we deal with some of these issues that are not related in any way, shape, or form to construction, but the bottom line comes down, that is pre-existing. It's septic systems, it's stuff that people are doing around their houses, it's what they're doing with their laundry, you name it, it's out there and been used in that sort of function. That is the proposal I have, and I would
So
like
the
to-
question I have, Dave,
Yes.
if a homeowner
Yep.
is using something that has PFAS in it,
Mm-hmm.
how would they know it had PFAS in it? How would they notify us?
Any entity seeking to perform maintenance and construction activities within or adjacent to the 400-foot radius of any town, so falls in Zone 1, in the immediate area of recharge, and also the Water Resource Protection District in Zone 2. We already have methods by which somebody working in a Water Resource Protection District has to log in through planning the building, okay, for the purposes of their work. I know. I did when I redid my deck, because I'm in Zone 2 for the Webster well aquifers. The bottom line comes down, this puts, to the extent we can, the onus. Now, do we have citizens that will go out and do work without ever notifying the town, pulling permits and doing that? Absolutely.
So if somebody,
We can't prevent that.
I'm just thinking that, how do you enforce and police it? Because, how do you know people, if they're going to paint their deck and know what chemicals are in? If they're going to put something in their septic system that they're thinking they're putting bugs in there and something else? This is so widespread. I agree with the component, if it's a commercial entity and that's their business, they know how to deal with it. The issue is Joe homeowner doesn't know that. And I don't have a problem with putting it in the bylaw. I'm not doing it, I'm just looking at it from a standpoint, how can we reasonably control this?
Is enforceability there? No, a lot of it ends up on the honor system, but basically if you're dealing with commercial corporate entities that are coming in to do work in any area, that's where you can put the onus on, because you get them in the planning department, you get them in the building department, you get them with the Board of the Health where they have to come in for their septic systems and the others, and that's where you put the onus on them. By being aware of that and knowing what's being done in the Water Resource Protection District. And I, for one, usually pull up any of that stuff that I see with conservation or the planning board. If I see something that talks about work in WRPD, then I look into it, okay? It's been doing it for that long. So that's the approach I'm taking. I don't believe there's another approach you can take, because I don't believe you can generate the specifics that are required to narrow it down and focus. And that is the reason I believe the right way to do this is with the broadest possible focus.
Okay.
That's my position.
I don't have a problem with, actually, I applaud you, I don't know, it's not that I have a problem, I applaud you for bringing it up, because it is a major issue statewide, and it's because of the issues that, in some communities that are really costing them millions and millions of dollars. If we can put something in the code, at least to protect ourselves. We're not going to protect ourselves from everything. I think that it's not a bad idea. And I would back you on it.
Yeah, let's just move on. I back you too, Dave.
Okay? That's where I'm at. I'll back you on it.
Well, I'm going to defer right now. Any comments from our superintendent?
I have no comments.
You support it?
I support it, yeah.
Mr. Kelly wants to have a say.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I don't know, I've heard Dave discuss it before, I don't know what PFOS is. and-
Polyfluoroalkyl substances.
Thank you for that, and the viewers. The only, I understand where the chairperson comes from, like how the homeowner's gonna know and all that, so is there a way, especially people like myself that would try to do their best to not use those products, is there a way to put a list together, categorize it into what what uses the certain products are, and then put it on your website, or send it out with your, the literature every year that you send out with the thing, and then inform the general public of, try to avoid these products, so forth and so on.
And the answer to that is yes, there is a way to basically back into that. If you know the specific polyfluoroalkyl substance and its characteristics, you can back it up and find the products in which it is most frequently used. The one for firefighting foam tends to be a rather specific one, for
I
example.
already said it.
Okay, and that is one of the ways you can back toward this stuff. If you know what you have in your well site, okay, to the detail of what particular PFAS it turns out to be, then from that you can look back at those products that contribute to it. As I believe Bob had mentioned earlier, someone had, the PFASs are always, I'm sorry, it's Paul Duras. They're in all kinds of products, okay? They are everywhere, and they are, sometimes they're used in emulsions because they are a stable chemical. That's the problem with them. They are stable. They don't break down over time. Where many other chemicals will, through bacteria attack or whatever else. So that's the main issue is that, trying to exclude these is the key. And to the extent you can, when you weren't at the previous meeting, I don't know if you saw the recording. The town of Air, at one of their principal well sites, which is located next to the old Devon's base, or near the old Devon's base, had to spend, I believe they said $12 million to install what basically, I saw what the man was holding in his hand, it was mixed bed mineralizer resin, okay? And that's an expensive operation beyond its capital cost. You have to regenerate that, you create a whole bunch of chemicals you have to handle to do that. Process systems, ultimately later on, the fines of the resin can break down, and you have to have a system that will prevent those from getting into the water stream. They're not healthy either. So it's an expensive process to take care of it. If it gets into your systems, you have to do something to treat it.
I understand. So what I'm asking, or suggesting, however you look at it, is there a way to get those products that have it in there, in the Board of Public Works, through the water pump, whatever?
Why don't you just Google it?
And list it, well, I could, but I'm just talking about just a
So
notification to the general public.
Yeah, this is wide, as I started the conversation earlier today, this is a widespread being looked at by US EPA, US Public Health, State Public Health, DEP, and others, looking at this whole issue. And they're also working with the industry to pull as much as the PFAS out as they can to get it out of the general public. So from our standpoint, we can put it in our bylaw, and we can put the onus on mostly commercial-based entities coming in that needs permits to tell us if they're going to use chemicals or not. For that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to support it. From a residential standpoint, I'm not sure if we can regulate residents, on a lot of things, because one, they don't have any knowledge. Two is they're using something that's on the industry, and really the industry needs to pull it out of the market.
That would happen.
I mean, one of the biggest contributors to it is non-stick cooking material, and that flakes, gets into the water system.
Gets in your system, gets in my system.
Oh yeah, we have it in our system already. I mean, how many people use non-stick pans?
Right. The pervasiveness is one example. The state of Maine has the 20-part per trillion, just as Massachusetts does. The state of Maine actually, at one point in time, was encouraging dairy farmers to use septic sludge and also the sludge from paper mill culm, okay, as fertilizer in their fields for the food they, the hay and et cetera, that they were growing for the cattle that would make milk. Well, the issue became, some of the milk had so much polyfluoroalkylates in it that actually one dairy went bankrupt. And yet they were using, products approved by at that time by the state and actually encouraged for use as a way to get rid of it. Yeah, I mean, that is the type of thing you're dealing with, that it's very pervasive.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Like I said, my is just.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. There is a way to get certain products to list out. Will we be able to tell everybody every product that might have it? No, because it's too pervasive.
Okay.
Okay, but we can basically pin down some of them that might be the more egregious that we have to worry about, particularly if they're being used in more volume than something else is.
Or if it's more commonly used products
Yeah.
than others.
Okay, let's go on to the next category.
Well,
Would you want to
vote,
vote?
I want to vote to, this is an action item, so I would like to make a motion that we bring forward the proposed bylaw to the Board of Selectmen for implementation of the special town meeting this fall.
And I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, so you got to vote.
Thank you.
Okay, next category is superintendent's report update.
Did you get that, Bill?
I'm sorry, John. I didn't get the whole vote, no. I got some of it.
3. But Dave's
3-0.
Okay, thank you, John.
So, superintendent's report. Update of 965 Main, Plain Street. Update of Marshall Hill Sidewalk Project. Discussion on warrant articles and resurfacing reconstruction of Marion Road.
965 Plain Street, we continue to backfill the unsuitable material that we removed from the site. We were waiting on a response from PMA on some surplus gravel at the police station. We had been waiting for about a month, some information, and they came back telling us that they didn't know when it might become available for us. So we've had to go out to procure gravel to finish the project. We're in the process of doing that to bring the site up to subgrade. The sub-bids are due at 2 p.m. on August 5th, and the general contractor bids are due at 2 p.m. on August 19th. We've got the water main brought in to the end of the parking lot and put a hydrant on it. So the water service is available. We're working, waiting on a scheduled date for Sean Boney to put the gas main in. And then we've been shaping the detention basin. In the back, we thought we could come up with some more gravel there, but it was mostly loam in that area. So that didn't help us. So right now, because of the rain today, we had to stop. We're going to hold off for a couple of days, let things dry out a little bit. And I'm hoping that the rough grade should be completed by no later than the middle of next week.
Okay, I have one question before you leave that, Tom. For the pre-qualified sub-bids, I believe there was an optional walk scheduled on the 15th.
The 15th, there is a walkthrough. I haven't heard how many of the individuals will actually be on site, but it's not mandatory, so there may be some that don't come out. But we'll be on site on the 15th to walk through with the contractors and answer whatever questions we can.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it on the update of 965. Marshfield Hills sidewalk, they're saw cutting. They'll be setting curb this week, and probably the first of next week, they'll be milling the road. And EPG is on site reestablishing control points. The resurface, I'm gonna just take this out of order, resurfacing reconstruction of Marion Street. I received a letter from the residents of Marion Street asking that we consider paving that road. And they referenced, I'm at a loss here for the road. Naomi. Naomi was paved because of a drainage pipe issue that went under somebody's house that we had to remove and replace. It also needed to be regraded when the bridge was reconstructed. So that was the main reason for Naomi being repaved. The residents are asking that we consider paving Marion Street. It is in declining condition, to say the least. But this board has a policy of not paving side streets, that we have only been paving, resurfacing main arterial roads and feeders to those arterials. So at this time, they're not on any list to be resurfaced.
Okay. You want to go on with it?
I mean, the board has a policy of not paving side streets, so unless the board wants to change that, or, there's a lot of side streets that need repair in
I was
this
just going to
town.
say that. We do one, we'll do them all.
We'll open it up open ourselves up to having to address a lot more than just Marion Street.
It's a money issue.
It becomes a money issue, yes, it does.
Now that's C Street, right? It's off of C Street, right?
Beach Street.
Beach Street, I'm sorry. Yeah, is there any current plan in the near future for additional repaving of Beach Street, or repaving?
Not right now,
Not this
no.
time. Okay, nothing on the horizon. I mean, to me, that would be, if we were going to do any paving on side streets coming off of Beach Street, I mean, that would be the time is when you are mobilizing for Beach Street.
Right, I mean, if there's other areas in that end of town that we'll be working in, then there's a possibility we could do it, but there's a little bit more involved here than just paving.
Understood.
There's drainage issues and, so the cost, I'd have to do a cost analysis to find out what exactly needs to be done down there and the cost associated.
Now, is the outfall off of the drainage in that area on Marion the same as what we had in Naomi, where we had that nozzle?
Now, the drainage went under a home and exited right out into the creek.
Yeah, but I thought at the time too, though, when we were looking to redo that one back when, because it started with my regimen and then went to yours, was that the issue was too that water would back up at extreme high tides through the drainage system.
It would surcharge, but we fixed that when we replaced that pipe.
Right, yeah, okay.
Right,
We don't have a similar situation right now in Naomi. That's the question.
Marion.
Marion, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'd have to look further into that, but I don't believe so.
Yeah, well, I think, the answer that we should be providing is that we will consider the paving project when we have another major paving project in the area, so that we're not just mobilizing for a small strip of road.
Right.
That would be satisfactory to me, if it's satisfactory to you, gentlemen.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's about all we can do.
I mean, the issue is that we established a policy to begin with, and so that the feeder roads and the main roads would be serviceable, and that the secondary roads or the tertiary roads have suffered because of the lack of money. I mean, we just don't get the money from the town, and it only goes so far.
Right, we've got $200,000 this year from the town for roads, along with our Chapter 90 allotment, which hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of of the Chapter 90 money, we get the letter in April. Usually the money follows very soon after, so that we can address our needs during the construction season. Here it is, the middle of July, construction season is going by us pretty fast.
Is that still tied up with the state's?
They haven't voted on it yet. So it's a $200 million line for them. They hadn't increased it, although they did add safe routes, and there's another program that they've added some money to this year. Another 75 million for one and 50 for another, but they're specifically assigned to certain programs, not the Chapter 90 program. That's pretty much it.
Discussions on water?
Discussion on warrant articles is, I was just gonna look to see what the dates are.
It's August.
It is in August,
Yeah, it opens, I believe,
Yeah, it's on the town website.
okay.
It's on the town website.
yeah, it's on the website, I was gonna look it up.
Yeah, the special town meeting opens on the 9th and closes on the 19th.
Okay. So, I know Paul had mentioned a shortfall in that sewer project that they have, so that's something that we could consider there. Also,
That, we'd be trying to fund that out of retained earnings from wastewater, correct?
yes, that would be a wastewater project. So,
That was from Macker Terraces, I recall.
MACA would be for the additional work.
Here.
Yes, Anderson and
Yeah, Homestead.
Homestead are the other two. So, for other warrant articles, we haven't really even had discussions yet on how we're gonna proceed with the special.
So how do we want to deal with the issue of private roads that we can maintain?
Well, I mean, we
Should that
talked,
just be a spring article?
I would think it would be on an annual.
Did we go through this
You
earlier?
just did with the special, I mean, they're gonna try for a special, but what I was gonna suggest is, just to back up a little bit, would be, have Charlie or somebody else take a look at, the road down there, okay? And see how seriously dilapidated it is, what the funding necessary to correct that would be, and any of the other unpaved roads we have right now. After all of this rain, we may have a number of them that are in tough shape.
Well, we did have some issues with some of the dirt roads.
Yes, I mean, and that may in particular, Anne Marie's neighborhood is famous for some of that.
It was
So, I mean,
bad.
that might be something that we want to do in the fall because of all the rain that we've had.
It would take a
And
quick
bring it
estimate
up.
and an estimate of money, and quick estimate of money goes as far as it goes.
Right. Yeah, we could do that, and,
Yeah, but that way you can be able to grade them for the winter, because if it's gonna be all pothole city all winter long, you're gonna even have it even worse.
right,
I think that my position would be, I would like to go for a fall approval
I think,
to prepare for the winter.
I think Tom just agreed to do that.
right,
Okay, good.
definitely.
I
And
didn't
then,
hear you.
my last item is, we met today, Dan, Rod, myself, and Patrick, to discuss rate increases. We went over our retained earnings, our proposed retained earnings, and what we're looking at right now is $1 million in solid waste, about $2 million in wastewater, and about $3.2 million in water. So it doesn't justify, retained earnings are up. We've come to a conclusion that it doesn't justify this year any rate increases
So level funded,
across the board. And if we are going to have a special meeting, we discussed this earlier, that there's a possibility of a special meeting, I would like to add this on to that meeting, if we do have it, is to sign the letter for the rates. so that we can get them going sooner rather than later. We're gonna put a new schedule together on getting these bills out in a timely manner so that we collect the revenue, all of the revenue within the fiscal year.
When would you actually be ready to have the rate-setting meeting?
Whenever you want, we're ready right now. Rod's putting the letter together now.
I would say that is an excellent reason to have a meeting outside of schedule.
Yeah, fine.
Because it's for the benefit of the residents, so that they know for their own purposes going forward, budgeting-wise, I'm not going to be facing an increase in my costs unless I increase my use.
Right.
Unless you have a leak.
Well, that's increasing your use.
No, so that, I think that we'll be prepared, whenever you want to call that meeting, we'll have that rate letter prepared to move forward.
Well, I guess I would say that I'm pretty much clear for everything next week except on Friday the 23rd.
Should we do it in 2 weeks?
Sure.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So the-
So that'll be the 26th,
Yeah.
Monday the 26th?
Yeah.
and if we're gonna do
That works for
that,
me.
Can we have Invesco come with us,
that's what I was just
Solar.
gonna suggest.
Yeah, get the two of them and get them done.
get it out of the way?
One thing I will tell the gentlemen is, the reason I said the 23rd wouldn't work.
But you come too.
I have a torn,
You did.
basically, I have a partially torn tendon in my left shoulder tied to the rotator cuff. It's not bad enough that I think I'm going to have to face surgery, but I could. You know, I don't think I will be. And if I can avoid it, I will, because that shuts me down for hockey and golf.
Yeah.
In that order of priority.
It's not good.
Well, I heard it playing
So
hockey and I heard it playing golf.
Tentatively scheduled for the 26th.
That would work for me.
Yeah.
We'll invite the town administrator for a solar
Mike,
discussion.
Mike, keep
Yeah. So,
Okay.
very
Now,
good.
that solar initiative is not reaching out into Willis Pit again, is it?
I don't think so.
So the,
Well, I certainly want to look over every piece they're putting in for PFAS.
Right. And, you know, we did suggest to them that Matuxet Woods would be a possible site for the solar.
so the next, so that concludes the superintendent's report update. We don't need an executive session, that we have a contract and we signed it.
We have a contract, it's been signed, I need just to have town council sign off.
Okay.
So we haven't completed the contract.
So the next meeting will be in tentatively July 26th
Correct.
at 6 o'clock in this room. I make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.